Hello, believers, and welcome to the show that separates the gristle from the steak of conversation about the creative process and the cultural inspirations of our guests and the greatest TV show ever made, The X-Files. Today I'm leisurely strolling around a chicken farm. Lots of our winged friends scratching around the place here. If you're in the UK, I hope you survived the recent storm intact. If you're in the US, I hope you're surviving the current storm taking place in the White House. We are rapidly approaching the end of Season 2 here, so before we head on, I want to again say a big thank you to all the guests for coming on this season, and to you out there for listening in. A quick book recommendation from me, talking about the White House, is Annie Jacobson's book Nuclear War: A Scenario, which takes a minute-by-minute approach to Armageddon itself. If, like me, you're drawn to really, really heavy, depressing chunks of literature, then this is the book for you. It's fantastically researched and brilliantly written. And important to know just how much of a knife edge we still are on. But let's not think about nuclear war right this second, because someone with the energy of several nuclear warheads is today's guest. It's the musician, and I'm going to say punk sage, Scott Bradbury. Scott has fronted a number of brilliant punk and DIY bands over the years, including Chips the Poor and now Yawn Control, which listeners to BBC Radio 6 music will be familiar with. In the chat today, Scott talks about growing up in the East Midlands, how songs come together, exercising his mind and his body, changes in the gig scene in the UK, his own paranormal and supernatural activities, and we also get time to talk about X-Files Season 2, Episode 24, Our Town, in which Mulder and Scully are sent to find a missing poultry inspector, which leads Mulder to believe that certain members of the townspeople are in fact cannibals. Yep, there's nothing poultry about this chat with Scott. Do check out his music online and find him at Chips the Poor on Instagram. Really great to catch up with him and hear what he's up to. As always, if you like our show, please do send me a message, like, subscribe, write us a review, leave us a comment on Apple or Spotify. But in the meantime, I think the good people of Dudley have been eating more than just chicken. Here's Scott. How are you getting on?
Yeah, good, thanks. I don't know when this is going to go out, but gearing up for Christmas. So if people are hearing this in Easter, then we're done and dusted. But
it will be it will be sort of late January this, but you're fine to chat about your Christmas plans.
Well, staying London based, so no travel. I've done all of that business. You know what I mean? Going up to the East Midlands, Euston Station, parcels, people, all that. So no, staying local.
Is that where all your folks are then? Whereabouts are you from originally?
Well, originally East Midlands, a town called Lutterworth. So if anyone's gone up and down the motorway M1, you'd have definitely passed us. Yeah, I was thinking about this, I did a little thing on Six Music about 15 years ago called Toast the Nation, and Sean Keaveney was presenting breakfast at the time. Would get people to kind of write in, talk about their hometowns, and he picked me to go on. So we had a little chat, and I think the producers they spent most of the time kind of like doing the wind up fingers, like, come on, let's get this guy off.
Oh no!
I think you're supposed to go on for about 2 minutes, and I think I ended up being featured or something. Do you know what I mean? It's about 10 minutes. I think I was on for.
He was great. I used to love. I mean, I've not listened to his podcast, but he was. I always struck me as like so kind, Sean Keaveney, and always got the best out of people he was speaking to. And there's some other Six Music presenters who have, let's say, taken his spot. who are the total opposite of that, and you go, oh, you've just like created such a bad atmosphere when you could have got so much out of this person who's come on your show to chat and help you out, and I always got such a kind of warm feeling from him. But
definitely.
did you so what was it? Why were they trying to wrap you up?
Well, I think straight off the bat, he's like, oh, we're going to go over to Scott. He's going to toast the nation for Lutterworth, that kind of intro thing. And then I was just like, whoa, hey, whoa, kind of straight off. and I think they were then just going, oh shit, we got a madman. Let's.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, it was good. Yeah, but as you said, he was kind on that, and also I think for him I don't know. He just kind of went with it and just thinking, yeah, let's just have this. He also seemed to be saying to his producers, like, I don't know, he didn't kind of wrap me up at all. We just went for it. Yeah. And he was launching a book as well under the same thing. So we went to a book launch and met him, and yeah, he was super sound. Do you know what I mean?
Do you go back there very often, and has it changed? Because where's Chesterfield? That's northeast Derbyshire, so it's still the Midlands. And I'm always fascinated to kind of watch the place change, over time and see what shops are shut and what shops are open. But I've not actually noticed, certainly in Chesterfield, too much of a change. You see stuff on the news about there's no industry here anymore. But every time I go back to Chesterfield, it just feels like exactly like it was 25 years ago, You noticed any change?
Well, I do remember a pal years ago kind of saying that, the East Midlands was like the biggest open air museum dedicated to the 70s. So it has that vibe. Thinking back of my majority of the time was, I was there in the 80s, 90s. I think was my big time in the Wolf. So it definitely has changed. Yeah, stuff has closed. The town's got bigger. They've expanded into the fields. I'm not mega old or anything, but I could say to the kids, I remember when this was all fields, because it actually was. When we a field we set fire to at least, but maybe that was our fault. We started it. The developers were like, oh wicked, look, that's scorched earth. Let's build some housing. But it's a bit of a. I guess it's a bit of a commuter town more than anything. But saying all that, my mum and stepdad are still there. We go and see them whenever, and my mum keeps us updated with the news, like who's died, which pub's been set on fire, that sort of stuff. They went out to Christmas market recently, and it looked super busy. So it's. I think people come out for stuff. There is things going on. But as you'll probably find, like you did in Chesterfield, like there's enough going on for a bit, and then you have to like get in the car or on the bus to like check something else out, because it's it's not going to cater for all your needs.
Yeah, I had that with Sheffield. I always felt like Chesterfield got a kind of chip on its shoulder that it wasn't Sheffield, and it shouldn't try and be. It's not that. It's a totally different thing, but. There was definitely a bit of kind of animosity between Chesterfield and Sheffield, and a feeling of, well, you would try as soon as you could get out of Chesterfield, you would.
Well, yeah. We used to go up Sheffield quite a lot, so I don't think I ever did Chesterfield, but I've definitely seen that Twisted Church, so. That you got that on Sheffield. Do you know what I mean? That's to be celebrated.
Exactly. Yes. So, what drew you? What point did you make the move down to London then? And did you go straight from East Midlands to London, or did you go via anywhere else?
I did. I come straight down. Basically, it was after sixth form. Get a college place. And use that as a way to come down. But thinking about my college place, I didn't actually. You had to fill out them UCAS forms. Yeah, I couldn't really be bothered, so I obviously you had to get it done. But I remember like speaking to a couple of girls in the library, and I was like, "Oh man, this is really long. Do you mind doing this for us?" And so basically, I can't remember who these girls were, but they sorted me out with my college place, basically.
I love it. You've basically invented ChatGPT already.
Yeah, I've probably invented a few things over my life, but yeah, that was maybe I should have wrote it down, but
Personal statement is just
oof.
totally daunting because it's like, how much do I blow smoke at my own arse? How much am I like? When I applied for uni first time round, there was a lot of white lies in there. You know, there was a lot of like, what have I done and what have I not done? And I suppose you've got to go through there's like a whole process, and then there's the interview stage you've got to get through and all that. But yeah, it's strange kind of how you project yourself in life, isn't it?
Yeah, totally agree. It's super hard, but this is the funny thing about it, because as you were just saying, you're sort of umming and ahhing about what do I do, how positive do I be, how, well, just trying to focus on that sort of thing. But other people, it's funny because other people will just do that straight off the bat, and they'll be showing off to the moon, and you kind of you're thinking, why am I finding this so tricky? Other people seem to just, or maybe they don't. Also maybe they don't just waltz into a room and go, here I am, the big Johnny bollocks or whatever. It's sort of maybe they've got to gear themselves up. I
wonder if that's like where you're raised as well, because that was definitely a kind of Chesterfield thing of like, whiny necking, mate. You know better than me over here. So there's a slight tinge of guilt if you try and blow your own trumpet a bit. But.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the group I grew up with and stuff. You just get it was a lot of it, and it probably hasn't changed that much, to be honest, until we got a bit older and kind of thought we might be hurting someone's feelings, or you've got to chill on people for a bit and give people a break. But it's definitely like, you would just get the shit ripped out of you or whatever, and that's what it kind of was. But I guess maybe is that just how, I don't know, young people talk to each other? Maybe not. I don't know what they do now, but it just back in that time, you just sat around an old silver bog or something and just gave each other a load of grief, basically. If someone went, I like Technotronic or something, and then people are like, wow, you fucking wanker, we're into something else. I don't know, I can't even think of it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. That's sort of like how people bond.
You turn up. I remember years ago, we were going, let's get our hair permed. I don't know why I'm thinking about this stuff.
Yeah.
And someone's like, getting your hair permed? Oh, you fucking dickhead. You could, and you're just like, okay, I'm not going to get my hair permed. This is the 90s, by the way, early 90s.
Yeah. And I'd love to see the stuff. If you ever did.
You know what? If we'd have got our hair permed, we'd have been 4 months ahead of the third years that went and got their bloody hair perms. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. What was that like? Sort of Kevin Keegan era?
I'm not that old.
Sorry. I'm just trying to think.
It would have been like
time frame.
It was like what would it be? 92 or something.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. Is that? I can't even think. I mean, half the time I'm saying to people like, "Oh my god, that's 5 years ago. I can't believe this," and they're like, "No, that's 20 years ago." So,
yeah.
So I'm talking about these 90s things as if it's last week. I probably actually remember these 90s things better than last weekend. Do you know what I mean? So
were you at what point were you getting into music then? I presume that was just like teenage years. Were you always involved in bands before you moved to London, or was that something that kind of happened when you moved down the Big Smoke?
Well, in terms of music and stuff, I mean, it's something that we definitely had on as as kids, and watch Top of the Pops, that kind of stuff. Like me and my brother would turn down the volume on Top of the Pops and sing over the top, that kind of stuff. Nice. So we're always mucking about, make cassettes for our nan and stuff, like radio shows,
Absolutely.
Send her the latest Matt Bianco, that kind of business,
I only know Matt Bianco from John Shuttleworth. Like, he's the only person I know himself who references Matt Bianco. I love that.
But we had a babysitter who was into Dire Straits, and got us into listening to that, and as kids, we were in a band called the Boogie Brothers.
Nice.
That was like 85 or something, and we had a mate who was a couple of years older. He was like 11, and we were like 8 or 10 or something, and he made music on his ZX Spectrum, and we just sang over the top, doing I don't know what we were doing really. I'd love to hear a tape, but it was probably like Chipmunks or something, but Chipmunks on acid, that's what it'd be. So I don't know, you kind of always done that sort of thing. Mates were in bands. I do remember wanting to be in a band with my mates when I was at high school, but they auditioned me and they were like, "Oh, you got to sing this Jimi Hendrix song." I couldn't remember the words, even though they were written in front of me. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't come in on time. You know, I think, they're just like, "Take for it, no, you're out." So I think from the top of that, I just thought, well, I want to be involved, so I'll be their photographer or something. So I went along to like, you know, their sessions and took photos and used to do the band posters and that sort of thing. You know, so you kind of involved in, you know, promotion. And then, you know, whatever was playing down the local pub, you went to go and see. You know, there's a band that really got us into things they were called Grumble Grinder. I don't know if you've ever...
Oh, right.
Actually, were they around... Did they come from, like, Sheffield, Chester? I don't know. Maybe or Derby, I don't know.
Grumble,
Who knows?
right. I'll look them up.
Yeah.
What was that sort of thing then?
Yeah, they were definitely a punk band or some... I mean, they had a song called... Well, they were called Grumble Grinder. That was the name of the band. But they had a song called Grumble Grinder. And I think it went something like grumble, 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 grinder, grinder, grinder. You know, so it's that kind of thing. But yeah, we met them and they, you know, it's funny, all these sort of things you think about or never thought about until you start chatting. Like they, you know, they made their own records, that sort of thing. So they were weirdly an influence. I had a mate who well loved listening to Peel, that kind of thing. So he was well into like making or wanting to make DIY records. So, you know, we made bands in our town, you know, in our Lutterworth town, and then you know, and made records as well. I'm sort of moving all over the place time-wise and stuff. We weren't like 10 years old making records, you know. We got to sixth form and stuff and formed a band, and we're just thinking, oh, let's just make a record, you know, and did that.
Yeah.
Put out some records, got the occasional radio play. Yeah, it's super fun. That was it really. It was just about, I don't know, wasting time between the pubs sort of thing really.
Has that sort of process, you know, how you approach music changed over the years then, or was it always a kind of collaborative thing that you like to do? Do you need to be in the room with someone, or are you when you're writing stuff, are you sending things to anyone else and they're sending it back? Or because I imagine, you know, with the advent of new technology, I don't know how you work in it, that's maybe streamlined some of that process, but the kind of core of it, it's still people getting together and making noise.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it is a get together business, the get along gang kind of vibe. All the bands have been with other people. Because I can't play any musical instruments. Although I was in a band called Tire Dynamic, and I ended up on our first 7-inch release playing keyboard.
Brilliant.
But I didn't even know we were recording. So, you know, it's like that. We were just in the mate's shed and I was just dicking about, and they went, "Yeah, that's great. That's on the record now." We're like, "What?"
Nice.
You know, so I think there's always been a bit of sort of chaotic element to it all. But also a bit of, I don't know, trying not to be too... what's the right word? It's not like... I mean, you're serious about the thing you do. You know, you enjoy it. But try not to be too, I don't know, precious about stuff. And having that element of like, well, that's done now. That, you know, not... I mean, you probably, you know, anyone who listens to the music I make will probably be like, "Oh, you know, you could have gone back and re-edited that." Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, you could have like done the vocals better, but you just think, well, it's just done. It's like, I could just, you know, I was going to say something, I'm editing myself in my own brain whilst I'm chatting, but I was going to say something a bit naughty, but I won't say that. But it just sort of...
You're welcome to.
I was just going to say, you could think of yourself about your own music. But am I glad I said that? I don't really know. Maybe I should have edited.
I know what you mean. No, I mean that is what's great about your music. You know, that's one of the many great things about it. Is it's like I guess you would lose some of that energy if you kind of did multiple edits of it. You just like, it just seems like a kind of force of nature that you're kind of, it's like one take. That's it. Great. There's something quite just really exciting about that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, it's. I know that other ears that listen in, you know, might not think the same, but also I do know, you know, like yourself, you just said, and other people, you get people who are into it, get it, know what the reason is behind it. You know, I've been in bands with people that have kind of gone, oh, maybe if you didn't say stuff that was so like vague or avant-garde or, you know, off the wall
Right.
or whatever, maybe people would like understand what you're on about. And you're just thinking, well, you know, you go and form your own band, write your own lyrics. That's for starters. But also, the people that know, they know. Do you know what I mean? It's, and also, I don't know. Just be. This is how I write or whatever, and it's, you know, it's a bit. I don't know. I was gonna say a bit surreal at times, but you know, there's definitely meaning behind it all. And some of it is just, I don't know, fantasy, or I don't know, just brain drips and fogginess and dreams and I don't know, all sorts of bits and bobs.
I presume you don't sit down and go, right, I'm going to write a song. I presume it's like you're walking and something comes into your brain, or you wake up, like you say, from a dream, and you go, I'll make a note there. And is it something together? Is it like more of a kind of collage mentality?
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think it is. There have been times when, you know, I've written lyrics down, took them into the booth, as it were, and even been looking at the words, going, I know when to come in because someone's going to tap me on the shoulder. I'm going to say these words, and then said something completely different. Even I'm looking at the words, and you're just thinking,
right,
oh, fuck knows what's going on here. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of, and then you just go, well, you know what just came out then seemed a bit better, so let's just stick with that. The written, what I'd say painstakingly written, or what you thought you're going to bring to the table, just gets thrown out the window with your own mind sometimes. So you just, I don't know, there could be a bit of, I don't know, self-sabotage at times, but also a bit where your brain's just going, that's crap, I'm going to say this thing instead. Do you know what I mean? And you've not even thought about it. And sometimes that is the point, you know, sometimes just don't think about it, you know.
Are you, I mean, how does it, this is a really wanky question, but
bring it on.
How do you, what are you feeling when you're performing? And that's the two-part, you know, when you're laying down stuff. Laying down. What are you talking about, man? When you were
some ideas out,
oh God! It's because you were talking about those pub bands, and I used to remember this old pub band called Neon. They used to take themselves so seriously, and they just did cover. You know, they did covers,
nice.
Like Jimi Hendrix stuff, but they'd sing songs, and it was a girl singer, and she changed all the lyrics so it was from a girl's point of view, and it's, I mean, fine, but just sing like you're kissing a girl. I suppose that's not acceptable in Chesterfield in the mid-80s, but I really used to make me cringe. Anyway, I've gone off on a tangent here. What I was trying to say was, is a feeling when you're doing something in the studio different to when you're performing, and are you nervous? Are you excited? You know, what are you feeling? Nothing? Is it more like zen or you know, mindful or what have you? How does it change?
I mean, I definitely get nervous. I mean, back in the day with, you know, that band we had in the Brian and the Teenagers of the band, like, you know, basically before we played a gig, I'd be off doing a little, you know, walk around the block.
Really, yeah.
You know what I mean? And people just, they got used to it. They're just like, oh, he's off. He's doing his little zimmer around the, you know, around the corner. So I definitely get nervous. And then once it was like, you're doing it, you're okay. So I don't know what, some of it I think was not being in a moment. Because my friends just seemed to be like, go on and do it. Right. I think I was perhaps, you know, I mean, some people would laugh at this because they'd just be thinking, what, you're overthinking that? Do you know what I mean? So sometimes there's an element of like overthinking or I don't know, jumping ahead into the gig and it hadn't happened, and you just, I don't know, thinking, oh God, this thing could go wrong or this could go, you know, and it just wasn't being present. And also at the time I used to smoke, so like just ciggies or whatever, and I think that wasn't helping.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So that would like get you on your sick trigger.
I suppose if you're, you don't have anything to hide behind, do you?
No.
I mean, I don't know, maybe you had a keyboard back in the day, but I used to find when I was playing music quite relaxing, actually, because we'd have, even if we hadn't practiced, I would just I'd have the drum kit to sort of sit behind and sort of hide behind. And I never really got as nervous as the other guys because I guess they were stood up front and everyone was looking at them a bit more. But
yeah, there is that part to it. I mean, the stuff that we recorded, say with Chips to the Poor, as the band, that I was doing with Michael, Claire, and Benno. You do your recording sort of business, and we I don't know if we. Well, anyway, whatever got pressed, whatever got put out, and sometimes you'd be thinking, oh yeah, remember the words. So you're trying to remember the words. And again, like with the thing when I said earlier, just, even when you're reading the words, something else comes out. And half the time, the better side of things was when you just went with the flow and, improvised business. We used to, we'd have some song that was like, either, it could be like a minute and a half long or something, or there could be a song that's like 20 minutes long. And you just find yourself just improvise because you all trust each other. You know that, I might wander off and do something weird with someone, which sounds odd actually. I don't mean like that. But,
I know what you mean, yeah.
But but the band they're all locking into each other. If that's, am I joining the wanky explanation of like how you do gigs? But
no.
Yeah, we're all just locked in.
It sounds a lot better out of your mouth than it does.
But also sometimes you just go with the flow of it. Like there was one gig we did, some pub in New Cross, and we were on stage. We did a sound check, all that shit, and you're waiting around. You go on, and then we were on, and we were looking at each other like we were playing. Look at each other, going, "Fuck, I can't hear that guitar." We used to use a drum machine, Mini Pops Junior, which would it would go in and out of time, which was quite good fun, which is great.
Amazing.
But all of that aside, we're just like, why is this sounding so mad? We look at each other. We kept going. We didn't cry and apologise or anything like that. But we kept going for it. And then we looked down, and we noticed the sound desk, the guy on the sound desk, he was basically riding the channels. He had decided, I'm going to join the band tonight, and I'm just going to
oh my God,
go for it. Because he said he loved our sound check so much, he just wanted to be involved. He didn't ask us, by the way. But, so we looked down. He was just like, I can see him now. I'm looking down because his stage was quite high up. Looking down, and he's just there, grinning his face off, riding his channels, like yes, like point his gun fingers at us or whatever, and like loving this, And I just thought, yeah, fuck it. Let's just we're in it now, aren't we? Let's go for it. And we were doing it anyway. And afterwards, people come on and went, fuck, that was psychedelic. What the fuck was going on? I was like,
yeah.
Mate, ask him. So,
that's great.
I think sometimes it's happy accidents, all that kind of business. But also, like I was saying earlier, I don't know. I know sometimes you've got to stand your ground and, no, that's not what we're supposed to, But I think also, just go with it. That's one night, one gig, If people come to hear the words, then they chose the wrong band. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah, right.
What you might have learned off the record, if you're a super fan, you're going to hear something different tonight. That's how it's going to go. A, because I might not remember what the words were. And B, you can improvise, you freestyle, you spot someone, they, just send your head a different way. Or something happens, like, you play a gig and the bass amp you borrowed sounds like a duck farting or something, And sometimes for other people, they're like, oh my God, seriously, can't go on, worst gig ever. And you're just going, mate, where can we buy a bass amp that farts like a duck? Do you know what I mean? That's got to be our next gig. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I feel like, certainly for that band, that's what and I know a lot of people found so exciting about it, that you could turn up and you'd see something really wild and totally different to the last gig you went to. So that was always incredibly exciting. What stage are you at with Yawn Control at the minute? Then are you that's your new project? Are you writing more material for that? And is that you on your own? Are you collaborating with anyone else
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
minute?
The Yawn Control. Yeah, that's a collaboration with my friend Will, Supreme Vagabond Craftsman, as he sometimes is known as.
Nice.
But basically, yeah, we've done stuff together for years. I mean, we actually met at school, like in a dinner queue. You know, he called some din lady a fascist, and I was like, who's this kid? You know, I don't think he got as many potatoes as he wanted or something, and yeah,
That's a perfect distillation of you and your work. I feel that story, wonderful stuff. Plus industrial noise over the top of
yeah,
it. Great.
exactly. So we've done stuff together as Chips the Poor and Supreme Vagabond Craftsman, and then it got to a point. We had some recent thing, the recent Yawn Control thing that we did. That was going to just be like Chips the Poor, Supreme Vagabond Craftsman, and as you've just noticed, or probably the listeners will hear, they're like, "Oh my God, Chips the Poor, Supreme Vagabond Craftsman." You know what I mean? You're just thinking, and also I was just like typing, going, "Oh, my fingers are aching just typing out these words." So I thought, let's just call it a band name, you know. So I went with Yawn Control. It just seemed to be like, I think because our first, like the standout single was like 6.5 minutes long or something. So I was like, you know, this is Yawn Control for those that, you know, can't handle it. So it seemed to be the right frame. But then saying that, I sent it out to a bunch of people, and Six Music played it like that night that I sent it out. So and they played it in full as well. Normally we get like, you know, people will fade us out after like 3 minutes or something, but they did the full work, so that was super sound.
I loved the video you did for it as well. You've got this, I presume it's your old like a VHS home movie, sort of shots of fields intercut with really harrowing what looks like AI sort of. There's a guy yawning. There's I don't know. It was just a wonderful, and here's my wanky word again, juxtaposition between this kind of tranquil, you know, East Midlands scene and then the future. You know, I really, really got a lot out of that.
Oh, wicked! Yeah, thank you. Our mate put that together. Basically, the footage is actually found.
Right. Okay.
Will was buying a video camera for his kids to muck about with, and bought the video camera from a charity shop. Took it home and was like, oh shit, there's a tape in it. I'll have a look at the footage on it. And it was that. Yeah, it was someone's holiday from the 90s. There was more to it as well. There was also footage of like the couple. You see like a woman and a man in the video, or sometimes in the video. There's also footage of them like in the buff, you know, outside their cottage that they rented or something. So that we were umming and ahhing about adding that in, but we just thought, you know, last thing we need is to be like took down by the internet, banned. So yeah, we'd sent that to our friend and went, you know, do as you please, and he's well into his AI and stuff, so he mixed all the bits up.
And are you planning any gigs coming up for that?
We aren't, no. I think it's one of those things, like definitely in the Chips to the Poor days, like we did a number of gigs all over the shop, and you know, then it got to a point where like no one asked you again. I don't know why. Probably how I've explained it, like, oh yeah, you play fucking bass for a farty duck amp, you know.
I had the same thing with stand-up comedy.
Really?
You know, there was a point where people stopped asking you back.
Badge of honour, I think. You know, also,
exactly.
You know, sometimes you're just ahead of your time, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? So
I'll take that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, also I totally get it as well. You know, people have got a business to run. You know, we've done gigs that have been like mega awesome, and people have just come up, and there's not been a like world breaking attendance or anything like that, but people just gone, what the fuck? Yes, you know, and off the back of that you play somewhere else, this sort of stuff. So people do get it, but also you get people some people just too serious. I don't know, that sort of battle of the bands business, and you know, I get it as well with promoters. You know, you've definitely got, you know, especially if you're a small venue and stuff, you got to get people in.
Yeah. Is there much of I don't come to London that often, but are you out a lot? Are you seeing a lot of gigs?
I definitely don't go out as much as I used to. Just get, I don't know, just get tired.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Yeah.
So I get tired and cold like an orphan or something. But yeah, there's definitely stuff going on. Also, the age I am, if I turn up somewhere, people are thinking, shit, the undercover cops are here or something. Do you know what I mean? I even like going back about, I don't know, 15 odd years ago. I went to a squat party in Peckham, and me and my mate were there, and we were in the corner, we like nodding along or whatever, thinking, yeah, this is good. Yeah, waiting for something to come on at midnight or whatever. And I was like, oh, you know what? I think we better just split, because these kids don't look like they're enjoying themselves. Do you know what I mean? Because we honestly look undercover. Like, we got, straight jeans on. We got, I don't know what kind of coat or whatever, but, bomber jacket or something. We definitely look like, right, Gov, yeah, I've got the gear on. What do they wear again? Do they wear, like, flat caps and stuff these days? Or should I bring my son's Eurythmics t-shirt or something? I don't know. What the fuck. It just... Yeah, we looked odd, even though we weren't, obviously weren't, and we didn't care what people were up to. But I just thought, I don't know, I feel nervous that these lot are thinking pigs on parade.
I mean, that's what I always liked about the metal scene, is you could just essentially wear the same thing as you were wearing at 18 as 85, and there's guys with like a bit of long hair around the sides, but mostly bald on top, still trying. And you're like, good on you, mate. Good on you.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, I definitely respect the people that, have got the gear and are well into it. The scenes I was always into, it was just like, you just put your jeans on or your baggy t-shirt or something, or, but if people are, like, I don't know, the references I'm using, they just show, if you're like a mod or a rocker or something, and you've got the gear. Like, I work with a woman and she's well into, like, skinhead scene and this sort of stuff, and she wears that stuff, and that is her, and that's well good. I just didn't, the stuff, I was just lazy in fashion. Do you know what I mean? And just wear, go and buy like the same shoes that I've had before, once they've worn out. I don't know, but that's the other thing. Sometimes people will be going, oh, you don't look like punks or something, and you're just thinking, oh my god, when the last time you saw a punk, like 82 in Trafalgar Square or something, it's like... Right,
yeah.
Have slashed up trousers, do you know what I mean?
A Mohican,
yeah, exactly.
Just before we get on to some heavy X-Files chat, I just wondered, I usually ask guests if they've ever had any supernatural or paranormal experiences themselves, or are you open to that? Would you class yourself as a believer or a skeptic, or as there's things you've come across in the past that you've not been able to easily explain?
Yeah, I'd definitely go with the believer. Why not? It was a thing when I was, when I was a small boy, and I was lying in bed. I don't know what.
That's great. Setting the scene.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was Christmas 1983. I was so small, lying in my bed, and I remember lying in my bed and feeling like a heavy weight on my feet, and it was really odd. And I don't know. I mean, someone would just go, "Yeah, you just had a dream. Chill out." But it just felt so, and it's obviously stayed with me for a while. But yeah, this weight on my foot, and yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't move my feet, and it was so odd. I felt like someone was sat on them. That's how heavy it felt, and did not dare like look out of the duvet and have a look in case of something. But saying all of that, maybe it was just watched the tail end of some horror movie by accident, as a kid, and he shouldn't have, and I don't know, something like that. But the other thing that come to mind as well was my gran died like quite a few moons ago and stuff, and I remember lying in bed as an older boy. Actually, I was late 20s, early 30s, so I was definitely an older boy. But I was lying in bed and my granddad died like the week before. And I remember like the bed shaking, like really violently shaking. And I was thinking, and my first thoughts were me like, oh, Grandma, you've come to, I don't know why I thought, Grandma, you've come to shake my bed. She didn't like, she never did that in real life, you know, in when she was alive. So I don't know why she would, maybe, I don't know, maybe when you're a ghost, you just think, you know what, I'm going to come back and either, you know, do people's heads in, use some powers I've now got.
Mischievous.
Yeah, exactly, you know, and why not? You know, that's got to be a good kind of trade-off, hasn't it? Anyway, so I was like, oh my God, you know, but what I did, I felt so calm about it because I was thinking, oh, it's my grandma. She's come to shake my bed. I'm going to chill on this and enjoy, you know, the fact that Grandma's here. I never looked up to see if it was. Anyway, so I was telling a friend the next day, I was going, oh, my grandma come and shook my bed. and they went, oh no, there's an earthquake over East London like last night that lasted about 5 minutes. And that's I don't know.
Right.
Anyway, I've told a story that isn't supernatural or, you know, it's true, but it's not supernatural. But another one was my stepdad went to my nan's house, different grandma, different nan, went to my nan's house, and he does feel things. Like he feels stuff within a room, and she'd recently died and moved away. That's obviously she moved away, but he felt that this wasn't. There was something negative within the space. One Saturday morning, I caught the train over to Grantham. I met my mum and stepdad, and we went back to the house, to the property. We didn't break in anything, we still had keys, and we went in, and we just did this kind of, would it be a seance or something? But we kind of cleared the space, basically. You know, said a few things, you know, set fire to some, is it sage that we had? I don't know why I'm asking, you weren't there, were you? Was it sage that we had, Chris?
I know what you mean, though. People do use sage to, you know, clear spaces of spirits.
Yeah, so, you know, we did that, and I don't know if it was it for us, you know, I mean, it felt like it did the trick. It felt like maybe it was just for us to help us move on, that sort of thing. But anyway, you know, the long and short of it was, you know, I think I am a believer because of doing things like that. You know, it might sound a bit mad to some people. They just go, you know, waste of time, just stick it on the market, get the place sold. Do you know what I mean? But you're just thinking, well, actually, you know, this is something that we need. We need some time together, space. You know, the house has been cleared. We've got a lot of memories in here, all that sort of thing. So I think it's like some things can be useful, even if they're wrapped up in, I don't know, supernatural or I don't know. There's something is I don't know. I feel there's something in you and around you that needs that, you know. Needs that kind of closure, or I don't know. Just space.
I think you're totally right. It's like regardless, you know, it's the feelings you had were legitimate, and if that you coming together to do that helped, you know, you process what had happened, then that's totally you know, legitimate way to look at things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I do also remember getting back on the train and thinking I was hoping for some like doors to go and windows to rattle and shit. Do you know what I mean? But you know, it is what it is. So it's nice to say, nice to be in that moment with the family.
We're going to talk now about some X-Files. So this is season 2, episode 24, Our Town, directed by Rob Bowman, written by one of the showrunners, Frank Spotnitz. It starts with kind of classic X-Files territory. We're in the middle of a woods at night. A car pulls up. Inside the car, we got an older man and a younger woman. They don't get it on in the car because the woman jumps out, entices the man to come out into the woods. She runs off. Before he can get out of the car, he has what looks like a kind of mild heart seizure, but manages to gulp down a bottle of pills to kind of rectify that. He gets out of the car, follows the woman into the woods. She starts playing a kind of catch me, runs off again. Before he can catch her, the man trips over, he stands up, and he's surrounded by these shadowy figures with burning torches, obviously slightly freaked out, tries to get out of the way, but can't because he's axed over the head by a person in a what looks like an African tribal mask. And then we get the titles. This is a wild episode. What did you think of it, Scott, going into it? And before that, would you class yourself as an X-Files fan? And have you watched it for a while?
I definitely knew what the X-Files was. I also used to, regularly mix up Mulder with Scully and Scully with Mulder. Did that a lot.
Nice.
So that would obviously wind some people up. I didn't do it on purpose. I remember the Catatonia song, but I didn't. I asked some college mates, like, did we watch X-Files? I keep asking people stuff. It's like I've got no memory or something. You know what I mean? But did we watch X-Files as a family, college family? Did we watch X-Files? No, we didn't. It wasn't something it was on our radar at college or at sixth form. I looked up when this episode came out. It was like 95.
Yeah.
So I'd have been about 18 or 19. I don't remember really watching X-Files at that age. Also, it's back in the day when if you miss the episode, you miss it, don't you? There's no catch up,
right.
or unless you set your VCR to grab it. So no, I wasn't an X-Files fan, but going into this, and as you described that, I was already getting sort of a bit shivery because it actually, did bob me up a bit, like that opening scene. I mean,
right.
I don't know. Am I a nervous person? I don't know, but I was actually like, I'd say to my girlfriend going, when did this used to air? What time did this go out? Because I was thinking, shit, I'm like actually scared at the moment. I mean, do you know what time it would?
Well, what are we into? Season 2? Yeah. I mean, it was usually around 10:30 at night on BBC Two, before it shifted over to Sky, and then that's when a lot of people didn't cross over with it because their folks didn't have Sky. Yes. I think if you're 18, you were probably thinking about you were off drinking. You weren't saying and watching X-Files, or even unless you were like a mega fan. Or I suppose at like 10:30 at night, you could legitimately come back from the pub and catch the end of it. Yeah,
it could have been. Yeah, or quite like going to bed, so I might have just been in bed. Do you know what I mean? Just lying around snoozing, waiting for like that weight to come back to my feet or something, so I could get I'd find out who it was. So that, I was generally pretty scared watching it, and I was thinking, quite like the feeling.
Great.
And also I didn't read up too much. I didn't read up anything about it until watching it, but reading afterwards, this being an episode where it's that Monster of the Week style, and I was thinking, this is perfect. It seemed to go. I really enjoyed it, because sometimes you'll watch something from back in the day and you're just going, oh my god, it's so slow, the editing, all this sort of stuff. But although it's 95, which is it's an age away, isn't it? These days, but it kind of reminded me of the old detective shows I'd watch, like on a school holiday in the morning. They'd do the reruns, that kind of thing, and I was just into it, and I like that kind of slow pace of television as well, because I mean, some of this is it. I mean, it's it's not as slow as like Butter Moon or something, but it's it's good. Yeah, it's setting out the scene, isn't it? And it's that, and it also caught me just going, I think it's this person. Oh, do you reckon this is the real? So you really get. I was totally getting involved.
Yeah, they do actually do a bit of detective work in this, Mulder and Scully. There was a lot of like looking into, well, where's this man who left the car disappeared to? There's a missing persons. We find out that someone then later has a fit in the chicken. It's all set around a chicken factory, this chicken processing plant.
Yeah, you when you sent me the link to us, you went, there's going to be a lot of chickens.
There are a lot of chickens.
You weren't wrong. You were not wrong.
Yeah, but not in the back of Mr. Chaco's big plantation garden. He's like got this massive big garden, big house, and he's got a poxy tiny cage with about 10 chickens in. It was really, I loved that bit of set design.
What was that thing? It was obviously a feeder that he was using to stick the grain in.
Yeah.
But that seemed, I couldn't even work that out. I was like, I need to see like the blueprint of how that works.
Yeah, there was a lot of
I don't know.
unusual.
Maybe it's not. Maybe you just put the seed in the back end and flip it. Maybe it's that simple. But it looked a bit over the top.
There's some great production design on this. Yeah, they're kind of. There's a great bit when the woman in the chicken plant she's seen these visions. She's had this. She's having this fit. She ends up nearly knifing the boss of the place in the throat, and before that, she sees a disembodied head on the chicken production line. Loved that. That's pretty good. She ends up having quite a grim demise, actually, falling into a vat of chicken innards, which are then used to feed the chicken. So that's a kind of... It's interesting to hear Scully, when she does come up with a theory, you say mad cow disease and say Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, because that was such a big thing for me growing up. Mad cow disease, that image of that politician making his young daughter eat a burger to say, oh, it's safe to eat beef, no one's going to catch this horrible brain disease. And to hear Scully say, oh, in England, mad cow disease, I was like, wow, this is like, it's not just a thing happening on our little island, it was like a global kind of phenomenon that were people talking about what the mad people in Britain doing at that point. But so she was good. So she did a lot of great detecting in this episode.
Yeah, and I noticed as well that that mad cow reference and stuff, and like you said, England. I was like, wow, this. And what's quite strange about that as well is, this is a TV drama, yet they've just anchored it into a real life situation as well. So that kind of quite interesting. We just go, shit, is this chicken town? Is this like a real place? Is this off the back end? I mean, it kind of is, isn't it? It's off the back end of, the way poultry's handled in the world. There is, it's poorly managed at times, isn't it? Meat management, this sort of stuff. So, it was bringing forward a message. But one thing I noticed after that, like you said, the woman who fell into the chicken guts, and I was waiting for her to just get absolutely ground up. I was waiting for that bit, but that didn't necessarily happen. They had to get her back on the slab to have a look. But one thing I noticed was it the next scene or one quite shortly afterwards, like Scully turns up. Did I don't know if I imagined this, but Scully turns up with like a bucket of chicken.
Yeah,
like
which is odd, isn't it? Which is because in my head, like, Scully's a vegan for some reason. She's not, because they eat ribs in another episode. But I always think, like, she's a medical doctor. She would probably look after herself. And for some reason, I'm going, well, she's probably a healthy eater. And then you're right, she turns up, and there's all these bones they've found all these human bones in this river, and they're all laid out on this floor. And she turns up with, like a big bucket of fried chicken, which is like so strange for her to have done that.
It's really odd. She doesn't offer any out. It's just sort of weird. Do you think it was just some on the spur of the moment production joke or something, like just walking with this bucket?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of,
I don't know.
There's a lot of humour like that in the show, little throwaway things. Because if she had been to, a chicken plant, that'd put you off eating chicken for life, wouldn't it? Let alone, well, maybe a couple of weeks at least. You wouldn't be rocking up with a fried chicken
couple of hours
bucket,
maybe
but
for me, but
but it is, it's a nice visual sort of little motif, isn't it? Her rocking up with that, and then just being put off by the idea that, because Ben Mulder talks about cannibalism, human cannibalism, and it's that puts Scully off. Then she puts the chicken basket down and off she goes. So I like that. And the sort of crux of the episode is people are eating each other in this town to prolong their lives. So the Mr. Chaker we mentioned with the chickens in the back garden, the plantation, he's been off to, I think, New Guinea. And it's very vague, isn't it? Like a lot of X-Files episodes. It's like, where's he been? He's been somewhere with people who aren't white. We don't want to say exactly where. Let's not get into it too much. And he's found this tribe of cannibals, and they've managed to prolong their life by eating human meat. But one of the upshots of eating this meat is people have developed this, this kind of madness. So I liked that. I liked the kind of heads that Mulder discovers in a cupboard in his house. That was a nice another shock moment. But then you do get, yet again, and this is about 10 times this has happened in over 2 series, Scully gets knocked unconscious and taken off.
Okay, right.
And asked to play the sort of damsel in distress. And I'm like, my heart sunk a bit. But it is like, I totally agree, there's some kind of ghoulish images in here, and you have this person wearing a mask at the end, who is Gary Grubbs, who's a great character actor you might know from films like JFK, and he's popped up in a lot of stuff. He plays a sheriff who ultimately turns out to be our masked villain.
I didn't know the actor, but I guess if he's a great character actor, he would have just, he'd be in the film, wouldn't he? I wouldn't even have grabbed who it was. But absolutely, I was thinking, you know what? I bet the cops are behind this. I thought that, but they always, those pesky cops.
Well, it's a shame that it wasn't pig farming then, wasn't it? They missed out on an opportunity there not to make it about pigs.
Exactly. Yeah. Getting the crackling out and all that business. I liked it. I liked it a lot, and there were definitely just the elements to it. It was spooky enough for me, at least. Some people might want more, but I could also see that I could imagine that some people would grab clips of this and see it as like CCTV or something, and then use it to kind of wage war on, popular thinking or something.
Right.
This is the truth. We found it in this old abandoned VHS tape or something. I don't know.
That's interesting.
People could use it that way. I mean, the message is strong for sure. Look out for where your meat's coming from.
Yeah.
That's something we could definitely take away in this day and age.
Believe Me is written and edited by me, Chris Boyd, with production support from Steve Marshall. The music is by Johnny Boyle, and our logo is by Russ Brown. If you like the show, please do hit subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you out there next time.